Hello, everyone. Welcome to our lunch with Haley today. My name is Matt Lozar, Director of Recruitment Marketing here at Haley Marketing. And today we're going to flip the script a little bit. We are going to talk about recruiting. Everything's been about sales, still about sales, super important in the industry right now. But we're going to talk about candidate quality and quantity and dig into some practical strategies to help improve candidate quality and quantity. As you're joining us here today, thanks for taking the time. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this on demand, appreciate you taking this, hopefully up to about an hour time out of your day to participate, engage with this webinar on recruitment. And be talking about obviously. As we get started here, this kind of feels like the challenge, frustration that we hear from companies as we talk to them. My team on recruitment marketing side, the digital team, anyone here at Haley Marketing, when you're talking to them about candidates, it seems to be the quality of candidate is really struggling. It's just difficult to get that type of quality candidate we felt like we've gotten in the past. Always a little bit of an inherent challenge on the strategy side, in the staffing world. Oops, wrong button there. On the talent side in the staffing industry, but it feels like we can just hear this frustration. Matt, none of my good candidates are applying. It's all unplaceable candidates. We just can't get what we want. We don't have what we used to. And the common question is, where are the quality candidates? And the employment market is, to me, really interesting. Love data, love digging into it. Not a labor economist, but in the recruitment marketing team, always like to monitor what's going on. And the latest jobs report that came out, we're doing this June 2024. So just a little bit over a week ago, unemployment's at 4%, 4% or lower for the 30th straight month. So 2.5 years, unemployment in the United States has been 4% or lower. There are people working. I think this is very interesting. These next two, the prime age labor force participation rate, big term there, but people 25 to 54 years of age, that percentage of people is at 83.6% who are in the labor force. That's the highest it's been in 20 years. So that prime age, the highest it's been. But if we look at the overall participation rate, like everybody who's eligible to work, that's down 3 or 4% from 20 years ago. So the prime age is higher, a little bit younger than that, and older than that, it's lower. So that's could be why we're having some challenges with the quality. Not just going to be all numbers and data here today. I do like numbers, do a lot of it on our LinkedIn lives every other Tuesday on my profile. But today we're not going to be focusing a ton of data, but I want to provide some context there behind it for where are the quality candidates. There's people working. There might not be the right people for the jobs that we need, especially in the staffing industry. It feels like there's a difference in needing warehouse workers, admin workers. There could be a surplus of people in that knowledge worker higher level. But the imbalance isn't there. But that's a little bit of a different webinar for a different day. We're going to try to focus on how can we find those quality candidates, enough of them in ways that'll help. And number one thing I like to look at, recruitment marketing. What the heck is recruitment marketing? It's everything it takes to get the right people to apply to your jobs. And I like to bold right people here because it's important in recruitment marketing. It's important because not everyone is the right fit for your jobs. Sometimes, especially a couple of years ago, there may have felt like we could take any warm body for a job. And sometimes it might still feel like that. But we need to get the right person for that job. It could be the right fit for you as a staffing company. It could be the right fit for your client. It needs to be the right fit for obviously the candidate that you're trying to place. But what can you do to get the right fit for your job? Is it focusing on the schedule, the pay rate, the workplace culture, areas that are unique to your company? What does it take? Everything that goes into it. We're going to go into those 4 pillars of recruitment marketing here in a little bit, but all of that it goes into attracting the right candidate through different stages of the candidate application process, the attraction process, nurturing. We get into awareness and interest, desire, and action. We're not going to go down the AIDA model too much today, but what does it take to get the right people to apply to your jobs? And this was a stat that bounces around a lot, and it could be industry dependent, but the best candidates are off the market in 10 days. And that doesn't mean from when they apply to your job. That could mean from when they start to look for a job, when they first apply to any job, when they start to seriously consider it, when they enter that. 10 days is fast. And we know speed wins in the staffing industry. So pretty appropriate in the Olympic year here, 2024. It's a race. It's a race to getting those candidates as quickly as possible. And if you have really strong recruitment marketing, that's going to help you get those candidates faster. Just had a couple of calls literally today with some clients, and one of them focused on that race. He has a process where they post jobs, they are in a VMS, and they need to those jobs are only open for 3 days, 72 hours, and they need to post the jobs as soon as possible to get candidates for those open jobs. And we talked about it. We said, well, why can't you have evergreen jobs here? Are these jobs predictable enough to post them consistently? And because if you do, then let's say we have a job, we've built our database, VMS order comes in, this client then could then submit candidates quickly, already have them in the database. We know who's active by who's applying recently, could send out some messaging, some automation to activate those candidates, and we win the race. That's a great way, one way to do it. There's tons of ways to win that race and speed and have your candidates placed first, but we want to find those right candidates attracted to our jobs and being able to do that through recruitment marketing. And recruitment marketing is a big term. It's definitely not staffing industry specific. It's applicable to all of talent acquisition. There's, literally recruitment marketing agencies that have existed for decades that just do this, that help big enterprise Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies try to find the right candidates. And that's kind of my secret today. This is, Haley Marketing obviously works in the staffing industry. We usually use examples and talk about staffing all the time. But recently, I've kind of been on a kick where the competition for your candidates, especially, in staffing, it's not just staffing industry. That's the secret. Your competitors are doing recruitment marketing. And it's not just staffing agencies. It's not just the staffing agency down the street or even just the big national company that could be entering into your market. Competitors of yours for your candidates are doing recruitment marketing. That's what we want to look at, because it could be, and I'll dig into a ton of different examples. We'll do some live websites. We look at some other things live throughout this webinar, but there's bigger companies outside your industry that are going for the same candidate, right? If you're in the warehouse industry recruiting a $15, $20 an hour candidate, let's just say, they're not just looking at jobs at staffing agencies. They could be looking at jobs at direct hire, directly with the employer. They could be looking at jobs just in that wage range because they want to shift industries or whatever. It could be someone who's looking just to work in hospitality or customer service or wherever they're looking to do in the gig industry, out of the gig industry. We don't even talk about that in staffing too much, but your competitors are doing recruitment marketing. Some of them are on the national scale, and we got to compete with that. And there's ways to do that. You can be smarter, faster, better than them. So that's my big takeaway recently with recruitment marketing and trying to find those quality candidates is your competitors are doing this. And I'm not saying you have to have a huge budget digging into recruitment marketing, but you can make things easier for people to really help them make that connection with your company. So when they're ready to switch jobs or just come work for you or apply for a job, you're there for them. So let's dig into the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing. This will be the base of our webinar today, be focusing on these different areas. So the 4 pillars, how do we get those right candidates for our open jobs, the right candidates for our company, not all candidates, the right ones, because it's okay that some candidates don't want to apply to your jobs with your company. It's hard to hear sometimes. It might not be what we want to think about, but it is the right way to think about it. It's not just getting any candidate for your open jobs. Let's focus, on those right candidates. 4 pillars of recruitment marketing: career sites, job advertising, social recruiting, and employer branding. And what I like about them when we built these at Haley Marketing a while ago, kind of the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing, they're individual, but they play off each other. It could be different parts of, different pillars can be more important for different types of candidates. Different pillars can be important for how the economy is working, what you want to emphasize. Your employer branding shines through career sites, job advertising, social recruiting. Your career site helps with job advertising. Your employer branding shows on your career sites. It's in job descriptions. It's in the content on social recruiting. Social recruiting can help you with job advertising. They all play off each other. They all work together. It's not just, hey, let's only focus on social recruiting. We probably have to focus on how those other areas influence it. And I'm not saying if you haven't done any recruitment marketing, you're going to do an audit of your recruitment marketing, you need to go and improve all 4 of them right away. But we probably can't just focus on one thing and expect great results. We have to have a little bit of a plan, map it out, and work on them as we develop a strong recruitment marketing plan. It might be improving our career sites a little bit, but then how does employer branding play there? So it'll make a little more sense as we jump through here. So the first one we want to talk about is career sites. If you have a website, you probably have a career site. In the staffing industry, it's really unique how career sites are basically your main website. If you look, and we'll bring up some other examples here in a little bit, but if you look at a big company, I have some examples of like Wegmans, CVS Pharmacy. I was looking at Marriott the other day. Marriott, let's use that as an example. Obviously, a ton of their main website is where you go to make a reservation for a hotel at any of their properties. They have so many different properties at Marriott hotels. But if you're going to look for a job, you go to their Marriott career site. When you're a staffing company, that's kind of your main site. It's, that's your product. That's what you're selling. So it's always unique to me to see how staffing agencies and recruiters, their career site's kind of their main site, but we can still learn from a lot of these companies in and out of the industry that will help us develop great results by learning their tactics and their strategies with the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing. So career sites, trying to bring in a stat here and there throughout the webinar. LinkedIn here has stat 59% of candidates visit a company's website after discovering the job. I think the word after is super important here, where Matt's out in a job search, looking for a job. I see a job, I discover a job, then I go to the website. I'm not going to the website first. That's not my path. 3 out of 5 people are going to your website after discovering the job, seeing it maybe on Indeed, came across it wherever, talking to someone. Hey, I heard there's jobs open at staffing, or the company down the street. Then they're going to go to your website to learn, research, become educated about your company. So keep that in mind as we see that. So going to jump over here to a couple of different websites. The first one is Connected Healthcare. We work with this company, healthcare staffing company based out of Texas, I believe, and has really developed an awesome website when they were a startup a few years ago, and just slowly it felt like built it out to make a really great website. So going over here to Connected Healthcare, video in the background, not what I want to focus on, but I like to see their specialties. And you can dig in here when they're a healthcare staffing company, they're digging in, they are showing how they work in all of these different specialties. They have their main one, but then we can go to their nursing page. And in healthcare, obviously there's different skills, different candidates for all these different jobs. If I'm a nurse, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not a surgical tech. I'm not in respiratory. I'm not a radiology tech. So what they do is highlight different areas that they're working on. Some great specialty pages on, how you can take the next step in your career, areas we work, etc. Same thing if we were on surgical techs, different jobs, right? Surgical techs could be sterile techs as well, allied health. What can we do there? What I also like here is on their Why Connected Healthcare page, answers a lot of questions. A theme I like to see is, why should you work with us? That's a huge question people ask. You can go through and answer a lot of FAQs, common job search questions. It might be easy for us to think about because we work in the industry every single day. But for someone who could just be going back into the job search for the first time in a couple of years, they might have questions. They might be unsure. Switching jobs is a big deal. So I like how their website has all these different areas. Client side, obviously, but also the specialty side. They have a traveler area. So if you have questions about being on the traveler side, really focus on that. But then overall, their brand comes through this whole website. And we're jumping around pillars a little bit, but you can kind of see if you're doing travel, if you're on, they talk about permanent side, but local, whatever. A young, vibrant brand comes through. And when you talk to this company, you work with them, that's the impression that comes through. So that's something I really like to see. Now we're going to jump out of the industry. We're going to jump over to CVS, which is a brand I've loved to see on the career side for years since I've been in this role for, five or 6 years here at Haley Marketing. But CVS Healthcare has a really big page in terms of content. It can be overwhelming if you've never been there before, but I think it's laid out in a really nice way. Have a chatbot over here, Olivia by Paradox. You see a lot of Olivia Olivia is the name of the chatbot from Paradox. Very popular outside of the industry. And you jump over here, you see this at the top. Benefits, we talked about that. Why CVS Health? That's your employee value proposition. Why should I work for your company? What are you going to bring me that is different from other companies? What's the value proposition employees get from working with you? Areas that are very common, I see a lot outside the industry that maybe some companies in the staffing industry could talk about. What's our diversity plan? Individuals with disabilities, a huge untapped resource for a lot of companies. Military, students, 4 areas that are focused on a lot. Job search right at the top. Love how it's sticky throughout the entire way I'm scrolling through the page. But then also, CVS runs the gamut when it talks about looking at all these different companies or different types of jobs, excuse me, right? I could be a delivery driver. I could be a pharmacist. I could work retail, distribution, wherever. I'm sure there's some executive jobs in here if we look at it. IT. You click on these different pages. I've actually never clicked on the delivery driver job, but we see here it does a great job of showcasing what's it like to work for CVS as a delivery driver or whatever industry we picked. Where am I working? What are the types of jobs? What are the rewards? And for some of the different industries or areas, you'll see some videos or whatnot, right? Training. Pharmacists might come in here, might need some more training. What's important to them? So you think about what's important to your candidates and you highlight that throughout the job. Right here, boom, $20,000 assistance for tuition. I love how that plays out. Jumping down below the industries, as we go back, what else is there? Resources for candidates, actually a virtual tryout process, which I think is super cool. FAQs, all these different areas. Then there's, some stuff behind the scenes of why CVS Health. I think there's some really good content here as well, right? Benefits, some giving back areas. Why do people love working here? There's videos throughout the site. So it does a great job of showcasing why we should work there. The brand comes through. Big company, but that's when I'm talking about your competitors are doing recruitment marketing. And that's where it can be tough. Your website can have great branding. We didn't really talk about this, the conversion that's on this website all over the place, right? Candidate feedback, the jobs. How easy is it for someone to convert on your website? How easy is it for someone to find that job quickly? So as we jump to the next slide, for staffing companies, make that connection with your candidate. What's the messaging? What's the branding you have for your company? This is from Vector Technical, one of our clients up in Northeast Ohio, but boom, comes through. Staffing agency, Cleveland, Ohio, trust. That's powerful. Right in your face. Connect the right person with the right job the first time. Literally recruitment marketing right there. Conversion path. How easy is it for a visitor to your website to convert? Obviously, it's important on the candidate side. How easy is it for someone to find jobs, to search jobs, to apply to a job? We don't want friction. I've said it so many times here. Said it on the podcast with Brad Biley, Secrets of Staffing Success. We need to reduce friction. Amazon taught us that. One click purchase pretty much anything. It's on my doorstep in 2 days. Those trends from consumer come over. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Conversion path. How easy is it for the visitor to that page, the person you want on that page, to convert with the desired result you want? When it's on a candidate page, how do you get them over to the search job page? This is a recruitment webinar, but on the business side, the client side, how easy is it for them to fill out the form to contact you to get more jobs? Think about that. Lastly, answer questions. You know the questions your candidates have. They've been asking them to your company for years. What are the questions? What can you be proactive about? Probably not too many of them, but was really cool about the CVS one that had some questions. I forget where it was, maybe on the homepage, but if you click on these, this is a way to get a lot of information into one page, right? They all go here. You can click on them and they expand, but there's 6 different areas of questions that you can put that can then go back. You can store on your page in an easy to read format. Also great for SEO. So that's career sites. Number 2, job advertising, second pillar, the one that's most near and dear to my heart. That's because that's what I really like, numbers. Job advertising. What are you doing here? How are you making data-driven decisions? What makes the most sense for you? How much can you pay for an application? What's a placement worth to you? What's a cost per quality application worth for you? That's on the business side. We're going to do a little bit live demo of something we've been creating here at Haley Marketing recently. So how much are you paying for an application? Do you know that? You should. I hope you do. Do you know if it's good for the industry? So this is something we created on our recruitment marketers website, recruitmentmarketers.com. Great content there, blog content, videos, ebooks, the smart recruiting guides on there, almost 200 ideas of ways to help you with your recruiting. But here we've made this little calculator. We have so much data here at Haley Marketing. We kind of know what the industry rates are for the staffing industry in a bunch of different industries, as you can see in our dropdown, right? Admin, clerical, construction, finance, healthcare, IT, and light industrial. So let's say light industrial. I come here, Matt's visiting the page from his staffing company because I don't know what I should be paying for an application. What's my current cost per application? I'm going to go 2.5. Boom. Shows that my $2.50 cost per application is 43% higher, almost 44% higher than the industry benchmark. Then if you go down here, if you're spending $500 a month, this is so many applications you're missing out by overpaying. Paying $2,000 a month. This is so many applications I'm missing out on because I'm paying 44% more per application. I'm missing 349 applications. And it works across industries. Whoops. On a bunch of them. If we try to do healthcare, see if this works here. Boom, $25. I'm paying a lot more, 200% more almost. So that's what we want to look at. We need to make data-driven decisions. What can we do there? That's the calculator we've been creating to help companies know, because it's one of the most common questions we get. How much should I be paying for an application? How much money should I be allocating towards a job? Well, it comes down to your business goals, right? Can you afford to pay $2 an application? Can you afford to pay $4? Can you afford to pay 10 if you're in healthcare, IT, or 20 or 50? Education space, hyper competitive. SLPs, one of the most competitive jobs out there. Can you afford to pay $100 an application because a placement's worth X more? That's what we want to focus on. Make data-driven decisions with your budgets. If you can use programmatic job advertising to help you make those decisions quickly, it can be on Indeed, it can be on ZipRecruiter, but you need to use software to do it quickly so you're not monitoring it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody wants to do that. You teach the software what your goals are, what your campaign structure is, how many applications you want per job. It can help you save runaway spend. We don't want to have runaway spend. We don't want to waste our money by using tools that are easy to implement. Okay, now we're going to look at some jobs. Right here, this was one of our clients had this call 2 weeks ago. We have over here on the left. We'll get arrow 1 here on the left. Hopefully you can see my mouse. They had a job. They're trying to hire for a travel nurse job. Tough. And the title was Emergency Room Registered Nurse Travel. So we did some research. We have weekly calls with this company and jumped over to Indeed Hiring Insights. If you have Indeed Hiring Insights, it can be a valuable tool. So I was like, something wasn't making sense to me because I feel like there's a very specific term that people are looking for. So this client's in California. We're looking at their job. And when you search in Indeed Hiring Insights, you can say, okay, for people who clicked on a travel nurse job, what's the search term they typed into Indeed before clicking on the job? Kind of like thinking about it in reverse, right? Indeed's just a big search engine. Travel nurse was number 4. Number 1 was registered nurse. Number 2 was RN. Number 3 was LVN. So we're doing okay there. But travel nurse wasn't in this job title. So made some adjustments, and now their job has travel nurse. We have to play the game of optimizing our job posts like it's Google. It's SEO. We have to have our jobs titled in ways that help bring back the results to the candidates that we want. Candidates aren't going there and typing in nurse RN-travel. They're going there, typing in travel nurse. RN was actually number 2. Emergency room is just a little bit of a descriptor because they might not want to work in a department, but whatever. Travel nurse was there. Got a lot more clicks after that. That's what we need to do. If you have Hiring Insights with Indeed, you have other tools you can use, leverage that to help you with building your job posts the right way. Other side of it is on the job advertising side, the speed's important because this was from a presentation at the Unleashed conference. I didn't heard a webinar or recording after from 7-Eleven. They changed their hiring process a bunch in the last couple of years. They found high volume candidates are applying to an average of 14 jobs. If we want to get the right candidates for our jobs, one, we got to optimize our jobs the right way. Apply format's got to be easy. Title's got to be what they're searching for. Salary's got to be what we're looking for. We didn't even talk about salary. Job description's got to be what they want. Talk about that in a little bit. Speed wins. So that job has to be optimized the right way, on the right job boards the right way. Apply format has to be the right tactic. quick apply versus company apply, whole conversation around that. They're applying to a lot of jobs. So we got to make sure we do that quickly. Job advertising, wrapping it up. We got to make data-driven decisions. That's what everyone needs to do. Walk down the job post when you do this. Before we even send them out, right? Job title. What are people searching for? Salary. Is my salary competitive? Indeed Hiring Insights has it. Other tools have it. I know Career Builder's had a great resource for a while. There's lots of great resources out there, more than ever. Make data-driven decisions around your posts. That'll help you get the better candidates. If you're building campaigns inside your Indeed, ZipRecruiter platforms, using programmatic job advertising. We use Appcast to build campaigns for our clients with their Indeed spend and their ZipRecruiter spend. What makes most sense? Is it a high priority, low priority? There's a company we have that just breaks it out by branch. There's probably 20, 25 branches they have. Make sure a branch doesn't overspend. Some companies do it by job type. I have a client that does it by SLPs, BCBAs, social workers, other jobs that they have. Make data-driven decisions based on all that data coming back from your campaigns. Getting a little bit of the nitty-gritty here. Application limits. How many applies do you need on a job? How much can you spend on a job? Indeed doesn't stop the budget right now. It's pushing it hard. It's not going to pace it as much as it used to. Indeed is pushing the accelerator on your campaigns, on your spend, on your money. Do you need to put an upper limit on there to say, stop spending after $50, $100, 75 applies, 25 applies, whatever makes sense for your company and your business model to get the qualified candidates you need for a placement. Leverage that to make the best data-driven decision. Candidate source. Is it going back into your ATS to say that Matt applied on Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, through the website, organic Google, whatever? Then can make the best data-driven decisions to say, okay, a entry-level job at a healthcare facility, like a maintenance job, it's costing us $150 to get that placement. Does that fit into our business model? Same company. The nursing placement, the high-level healthcare placements costing us $500 an application to get a placement, or $500 to get a placement in application cost. Does that fit into our model? Get all that information into your ATS, make the best decisions you can. And how does job descriptions really wrap up? Talked about this acronym for a long time, but what's in it for me? What's in it for me, the job candidate? If you stick to that acronym and think about it, you won't go wrong. If you have any questions or comments, please put them into the chat. Like I said, we'll try to get to them during or after the webinar if you have them. Halfway through, on pace, which is great. Want to be respectful of everyone's time you're watching live or on demand. Social recruiting, the third pillar. This is a pretty eye-opening stat to me. And I have some more too. 79% of job seekers use social media for the job search. Might even be low, but 4 out of 5 is pretty high. That's according to Glassdoor. It's a lot of people that are using social media for the job search. Who knows what part of it could be? Could be to find a job. Could be to talk to people who work at the company. Could be to look at your content to see if the culture is the right fit. Could be someone who's a passive candidate who's just watching all of your content, to develop a relationship with your company. 4 out of 5 people are looking at it. And what's building off of this is 73% of millennials found their last job through a social platform, according to the Aberdeen Group. That's a lot. And millennials, Gen Z, they spend a lot of time on social. By next year, 25 to 27% of the workforce is going to be Gen Z. They spend a lot of time on social. Might not be applying to a job directly on social, but they're on social media, spending time there. It's part of their day. What are you doing to get that content in front of them? It might not be direct candidate applications, but it might be developing a relationship, showcasing your company with those active or passive candidates. So the next place we're going to go is, I thought this was a great area. And this is where I'm talking about your competitors are doing social media. I know this is one of the biggest companies in probably the world, but definitely the United States, Walmart. A lot of jobs, a lot of areas. They've been talking about their conference recently on their Facebook page, but they also, showcased 20-year anniversary, 261 engagements, 81 comments. A lot of engagement there. It's showcasing how people have developed at their company over time. There's one from a couple weeks ago. Not sure if I can find it here today, but it was showcasing one of their managers who has worked there for a while, and he was able to go to their conference. He was selected after working there right here. It's Steven. And he was excited to attend Associates Week next week. His store manager chose him. He got to go to the big conference. Like, this is showing how they've reached KPIs or whatnot, and they were rewarded, right? They had accident free for whatever. They got a free lunch. And then they announced that his manager said he selected him to go to this conference, right? This is employer branding, social recruiting perfectly. It's showcasing the culture of working at Walmart to potential candidates, active or passive. It's really cool, I think, on what they're doing there. That's the type of content we can see. What can you do to build that relationship? Showcase employee growth, showcase anniversaries, day in the life, recruiter videos, education benefits, other benefits. It's June, it's Pride Month. That's been huge on big corporation social medias. How do they make people feel inclusive at their companies? Really good content that you can have to showcase your company. Other bigger companies are doing it. We can learn from these big enterprise companies, especially on social media, because they have teams dedicated to this. And we don't have to do it all. Really good pieces of content can help you develop that brand on social and connect with your candidate, Salesforce, their Instagram page focuses on volunteering, community service, important, especially to the younger demographic, which is great to see. HubSpot, LGBTQ+, pushing that right now, right? Because it's Pride Month. The audience is looking for it. That showcases what they're doing right now. So that's what we really want to talk about and think about with social recruiting. Great place for active candidates, great place for passive candidates. So that's something we want to think about. And great comment here from Caitlin is, there are areas on social media we want to be careful about. We don't want just one person making a comment for the entire company. She talked about Pride Month. So you want to have a really good plan for your company on what is important to your company, the mission and values behind that company, and what it can be. So when you're on social, you want to have a well thought out plan. It's not just something where I'm logging on at the end of the day and venting or just putting out my personal beliefs, political, cultural, whatever. Have a plan behind anything you put out on social media. So when it's active candidates, it's passive candidates, there's different strategies for that. But I like to think about consumer brands and how do you make a connection with your audience, right? If you're on social media, the algorithm continues to show content that you've engaged with before, or if it knows your demographic or knows whatever about you, how it shows other content related to what it thinks you're interested in. So how do you make that connection with your audience? Is it employee generated content? Showed that video, talked about the Walmart associate who was selected to go to a conference. Influencers, what do you have in your local market? Here in Buffalo, there's a Bills player, Stephon Diggs, who was an influencer, no, maybe an ambassador, but an influencer for a local staffing company. You could see him on the billboards. Honestly, one of the only staffing companies that jumps to the top of my mind when I see them. He was traded a couple months ago. They lost their ambassador. They lost their influencer in the local market. You got to change your marketing strategy. Not to say don't do it, but I'm saying that's the influencer you could have. And it doesn't have to be an NFL player. There's micro influencers that can work really, really well if they reach your target audience. Someone that can reach 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people. If they have a core strong audience that's following them, how do you get that influencer to talk about your company, to relate your company to their audience? Think about all that. What kind of story can they tell? Tell that story on your social media. You control your social pages, pretty much. You control the content that appears on there. You control your website. What can you show on those pages to help you connect with your audience? If it's active candidates, right, probably more jobs. If it's passive candidates, more awareness, interest, testimonials, recruiter videos, day in the life, all that great information that showcases your company to get the right person to apply to your job. A couple other things as we wrap up social recruiting. Minimize friction. Make it easy to find your pages, have links on your website. Make it easy for someone to like your page, engage with your page, comment on your page, find your content. And if you want them to convert from social, make it easy to do that. If you're using paid Facebook ads, use the tactic called lead generation that pops up a form when someone clicks on the ad. And Get their contact info right away. Don't make them do 4 or 5 different redirects, do 3 different logins. Then they have to apply to your job. Oh, they don't have their resume on their phone. They're going to forget about you and go to the next company that minimizes the friction for their job search process. Really focus on that. Lastly, this is one that I put in social recruiting because I think it's really interesting right now. We talk about SMART goals a lot here at Haley Marketing: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, time bound. I want to grow my business by 10% in the next 12 months. Great. On social media, this is where buy-in can be tough sometimes for executives. A SMART goal could be, we want to increase our Facebook audience by 50%. Take that to the appropriate people at your company, and they're going to say, how does that bring us more business? So really think through your SMART goal on social media. Yes, you're increasing your audience, increasing your reach, hopefully reaching more people who could be potential candidates for your company. So think about what your SMART goal is. Is it just vanity metrics of clicks and impressions and audience building? Or can you create content, a conversion process that has the tracking to say, okay, we want to get 10 good candidates every 4 days, making them up off the top of my head, through our LinkedIn page. That's a SMART goal. Is it realistic? Could be for your company, but it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, we'll see, relevant, and time bound. Think about that. That can help you get so much more buy-in internally for social media and any marketing, not just vanity metrics of impressions and clicks and audience growth. Yeah, we want that. We need that, because if we don't have those people going to the pages, we're not going to have any conversions. But what can you do to show conversions and actual revenue driving activities from your social media, from your career sites, from your employer branding? Our last one here, as we get to pillar 4, employer branding. Employee turnover can be reduced 28% by investing in employer brand. As from WorkLeap, there is a bunch of employer branding statistics out there. You can find them ad nauseum. Employee brand is tough to quantify. I just got off a 2-minute rant about SMART goals. It is tough to quantify. Could be quantified in the number of positive testimonials we're getting on our Google page, our Facebook page, or our Indeed page. That's part of employer branding. But employer branding is something like this. I'm going to have a story at the end of employer branding. I'm going to bring all this back together, but I thought it was super interesting. Wegmans. Wegmans is a supermarket. Some people would say it's more than a supermarket, and an experience in the Northeast. They're expanding a little bit. Their employer brand shines through this website. I'm going to have a staffing company example too in a little bit, but Wegmans begins with we, right? The name, we're all working on this together. Different things you could see. In the slide I had leaders and innovators. This has chefs and visionaries. The employer brand showcases a ton through here. We helped people pursue higher education. What's your path? Wegmans, you can work in so many different areas. But this is where I like to think about, right? There's a lot of people here that can work in other jobs. You work in distribution at Wegmans. I'm sure you can work in a warehouse, an industrial job. This is your competition. This is a staffing agency's competition. You don't have the budget that Wegmans has. They're a top company in the country, one of the top places to work. But what are you doing? Where are we growing? All those different things. You know, working here, what's it like? Benefits, training, scholarship, all these different areas. This is what employer branding is. It's showcasing your company. Why would someone want to work for you? I had it in the example about the healthcare staffing agency earlier, Connected Healthcare. Bright, young, vibrant, whatever, you know, fun career path growth. That comes through there. It's what their company is. You go to Wegmans, what's been their building block foundation has been, you know, customer service, all of that. That Wegmans begins with we speaks to what they are, the experience customers get when you get there. If you don't believe in that, you don't want to do that, you're not the place to work. That's what I think is really interesting. That's what we're talking about with employer branding. Think about how that applies to everything you're doing there. How does it come through on where you want to work? That's what we want to talk about. Other one, staffing company here, the Advanced Group. It's, oops, got a little trigger happy there with the mouse, but this comes through here. Bright company, better job, better what, or better talent, excuse me. Um, that all shines through. Part of their logo, conversion path. You want a better job? Look no further than us. We help you get a better job. That comes through there for this company. So think about that as you're looking at employer branding. This is one of the last examples I have here for employer branding, but healthcare staffing companies in Covina, California. Started to look at this the other day. Our client wasn't on here. And it was a great way to show, hey, somebody's going to Google, typing this in, you're not on there. There's some advertisements on here, but their star rating of their number of reviews was low. It was like in the threes for stars, not a lot of reviews. You're not showing up at the top of the list. This is perception of someone looking for a healthcare staffing agency, client or candidate side. I know we're talking recruiting today, but also client side. You're not there. That's not you. You're not on that list. So what can you do to help your employer branding, your testimonials on that side? Why would someone want to work for you? That's what I think about with employer branding. That's what the EVP is. What do I get out of working for your company? How are you an employer of choice in your market? Could be among staffing agencies, could be among all the industrial workers in the area, could be among the wage range you're hiring for. Why would someone want to work for you? Be that employer of choice. This has come through in the last two pillars, especially showcase your culture. That's what employer branding does. Social recruiting is the perfect way to do that. What's important to your company? Why do people like to work for your company? If you need help figuring out an employee value proposition, talk to your employees, talk to your full-time employees, your staff. Hey, why do you still work here? Why do you like working for me? I know I pay you, but why? Why do you want to work here? Ask some questions. There's great questions out there. Sure, GPT or Copilot or whatever AI can help you build some of those questions to ask people. Then you could put all those questions into AI and spits out an EVP for you. Do some surveying. The best EVPs come from surveying your current and former employees, your people out on assignment, the people in your office. Why do we want to work for you? Showcase that culture as I build off of this on social, on your website, in your job advertising. If you're a fun company that's just a little quirky, have the tone of your job advertisements, the words in those job advertisements, be quirky. Don't title your jobs as a ninja. That's no good. People aren't searching for ninjas. Have it all come through. Work on that. Testimonials. What can you do to get testimonials? Be proactive in getting testimonials. Ask for them. Use software that can help you get testimonials. Putting in a database of emails, sends out 50 emails a day, asks them for a review. If you like what they hear, ask them for then a Google review. So you get the feedback in a closed forum, then get the Google review, Facebook review, Indeed review, whatever, out on the area. Or excuse me, out in the public forum. And the story I wanted to close with, it actually ties together Wegmans. They're one of the top 100 companies to work for 20 something straight years. But went grocery shopping with my daughter, who is 10. And they had the sign up there, said, hey, Wegmans, one of the best places to work for the last 10, 20 some years, whatever it is. My daughter's type A competitive. And we were driving home or something. She asks me, who are the other companies above Wegmans? And it wasn't coming from the standpoint of, oh, Wegmans was sixth or seventh, whatever they are this year. They're not as good as the top 5 or 6. It came from the thought of she wants to work for the best. She wants to know who the best companies are. I don't think that's only being thought of by a 10-year-old. We want to know who the best companies to work for are. We want to know where the best places to work are. That's what employer branding and being an employer choice can do for you. What can you do to talk about that? What can you do to showcase that? So as I say here, your competitors are doing recruitment marketing. What can you do? Question here. I love all this, but to showcase our culture, it's tough because temporary temp to perm doesn't work with us, our organization. They work for us in the field. Direct hires, it's the same thing. We are just the recruiters. Instead of showcasing culture, should we showcase our culture to work for us, with us? Does that make sense? Yes, anonymous attendee. That's your culture. Your culture is what's it like to work with us? What's it like to work with the recruiter at my company? Super important on the healthcare side, but I'm sure in other areas too. Travel size, I always go to travel, healthcare. Relationship with the recruiter is important. But even if you're just an industrial staffing company, admin staffing company, whatever you are, why would someone want to work with your company? Think about that branding. You have to have something different. Please don't tell me it's service. Something has to be different, better than your competitors. Figure that out. Once you figure that out, you lean into it and you promote the heck out of it and you market it, all that great information. So, like I said, your competitors are doing recruitment marketing. It could be in the staffing industry, it could be out of the staffing industry. That was my takeaway for you today. It's not just who you're thinking about with your competition. We need to learn from some of these other companies on what you can do. The 4 pillars of recruitment marketing is a recap where we get to some final slides: career sites, job advertising, social recruiting, and employer branding. We didn't even talk about candidate automation, but it's kind of a sneaky 5th pillar that if you're doing candidate automation on top of all this, you're getting extra bonus points. But what can you do to help get the right candidates for your jobs? If you have any questions or comments, please get them in now as we're kind of wrapping up. So I want to thank you for attending here. If you're watching live, if you're watching on demand, have a couple things before we get out of here. But recruitment marketing, trying to get the right candidate for your job is important. That will help, hopefully, you get better quality candidates to place for all of your open positions. Some reminders here. Please sign up if you haven't already for the Smart Ideas Weekly. You can use this QR code on the screen or go to haleymarketing.com/Smart Ideas Weekly. Comes out on Saturdays. We used to have a big monthly newsletter, brought it down to smaller newsletters to send out weekly. Have some really great insights in there. Some good information can help, obviously, with your marketing on the sales side, recruiting side. We'd love for you to sign up for that to get that content free to your inbox every week. Secrets of Staffing Success, the top podcast for the staffing industry. Insights is what myself and my podcast partner, Brad Biley, do every other week. He has his own Taking the Stage series, which is really, he initiated at the start of 2024, where Brad interviews one of the industry leaders or consultants or someone in the industry that has really great information to share for the industry. 12,000, we have a ton of downloads this year, most downloads we've ever had. So the industry, it's growing. Recent survey, the name of the State of Staffing report, it was the #1 podcast voted in the survey. So proud of the growth we've had. Hopefully it's helpful for the industry. I'd love for you to subscribe on your preferred podcast player, Secrets of Staffing Success. And then not as always, I'm in my LinkedIn live mode. Make an impact. You saw it on my background here today. Our theme this year of marketing at Haley Marketing for 2024. Go to the website, haleymarketing.com/make an impact. Great sales and marketing ideas to transform your staffing business and hopefully help you grow and survive some difficult times in the staffing industry right now. It's not super easy. But if you're being proactive with your marketing on the sales side and the recruitment side, hopefully some of the ideas on that make an impact theme can help you continue to battle and grow against your competitors. And our last thing before we wrap up, next month's Lunch with Haley will be on Thursday, July 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Sales strategies from successful staffing firms. Probably our co-CEO, David Stearns, will be leading this, talking, maybe we'll have guests. Maybe we'll see what he creates for us here. But great sales strategies from successful staffing firms. What's working is, I'm guessing, what the theme of this webinar is. What's working for companies? How can you be successful to get the jobs? Because job orders are down a little bit for the industry. What can you do that has been working and been successful for other staffing companies to get you sales job orders for your team? So thanks everyone for watching. Like I said, if you're watching live or on demand, appreciate your time. Think about that recruitment marketing and what you can do to get the right candidates for your open jobs. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care.